Hello, friends. How are you doing? Hi, Steph. Nice to see you. We are live, and it is Tuesday, and yeah, we're here. We're talking. Hopefully, I can make it through. Tell me about your week. What you've been up to? What are you singing? What are you leaning into? What are you leaning away from? I took yesterday off, which was lovely, in order to go up and support my friends, a couple of whom have a recording studio, a couple of whom are recording in the studio. And I didn't know what I was going to be doing, but I was just happy to help and to be there and to see the whole process. And it was so inspiring. And I love it. And I want to have more days like this in the room with artists, doing the artist thing, myself included. I need to give my artist self more space. But on the other hand, wouldn't it be great to take a day off and not do anything also, and that's kind of the energy that that's kind of the energy that I am always preaching in my studio. It's like, okay, yes, you're doing a great job. And how can we still do less and still get the same result, right? Because that is efficiency and sustainability at its core, I think, right? Like, yes, we want to learn how to hit those higher notes stronger and more powerfully and prettier and to belt all these big notes that we want in all of our favorite songs, right? That's our goal. And we come in to singing with this idea of, okay, I'm going to be stronger, right? I'm going to sing more powerfully. I'm going to belt that with the best of them, right? I'm going to belt that Adele song to the rafters. And we come in with this energy of, okay, this feels like a big deal, and like I need to gather all of everything I have and put it all into this note, But usually we are not equipped with this body knowledge of where we need to put this power. And it is not tightening all of your muscles all at once. Because usually, if you've tried to do this, that experience turns into the sound that you don't want, being too squeezed, being too effortful, or definitely crossing the line between efforting and over-efforting, right? And that is usually what we are trying to avoid by coming to voice lessons. Like, okay, this feels too hard, right? But then when we try and put all of ourself into these notes, it feels like nothing's changing, right? Like you're putting more gas behind it, but it still feels hard. So really, like, the breath support and the power that we're looking for is not going to come from the place that you think it's going to come from. It's going to come from the place of doing less in your physical body. Usually there's a lot going on in your mind when you're singing. There's a lot happening. You're thinking about 5 things at once usually. But after a while, you start to muscle memory these feelings, and it doesn't feel like you have to be so all encompassed by this process, right? You're thinking about breath, you're thinking about diction, you're thinking about placement, you're thinking about emoting. My goodness, you're thinking about not falling off stage. Like, there's a lot of things going on in your brain when you're singing these big notes that you're trying to hit, right? And so the default is your body just trying to help you with all of that. It's trying to take a little bit off your plate and being like, okay, let me help you so that you don't have to feel like you're not going to hit that note. I'm going to prepare every muscle in my body, especially these ones, these extrinsic vocal muscles, because I feel like those are what's going to help you make that note happen. even if it's misguided. It feels like that. Okay, we're going to sing this big belty note. I'm going to give it everything I got. I'm going to go, and we're going to over engage these muscles. And then what you get is a squeezed sound, is a pitchy sound, is a pushed and weighty sound that's too heavy for what you're hearing maybe the original singer do. And we wonder, what am I doing wrong? I'm doing so much, right? I'm giving it everything I got. Why doesn't it sound as powerful? Usually because our voice comes from these little teeny muscles in here, manipulating these little teeny pieces of cartilage. The effort that we are trying to put into this is actually taking us way past the effort that we needed to and crossing the line into over efforting, so that we kind of become the cog in our own machine. You know, and that's hard to hear for a lot of people. And like every other time when I'm talking about nervous system stuff, I want to reiterate, this is not your fault, right? This is your biology just trying to keep you safe, because in our minds, bad notes equals a problem. And so we put everything we have underneath this, right? Especially if you're a fighter, chances are you are, because 90% of the people on my page are. I have a hunch. I don't know that for sure. If you're a fighter, can also equate to tense muscles, but running the other direction or holding back instead of pushing forward. So same idea. And so what our body thinks is helpful is the gathering every muscle we got and engaging it, when really what we need is to step back a little bit from these muscles and let them do their thing in the way that they have always been doing it our entire rest of your life, outside of singing, right? So when you're speaking, you're not thinking, oh, I gotta project a little bit more. I have to squeeze in here to make that happen, right? I have to really push my voice out. No, we take a belly breath and then we push from the abs, right? This is nice and open. When we're trying to yell across a football field at your fellow player, you're just going to be like, hey, right? I don't know what people in football say. I'm not a sportsy person. But they don't say hey, probably. They're going like, boo, 42, right? That's the typical thing that I know of. But try it if you're in a space where you can do that right now, if you're in a car or your room or something. Like imagine there's somebody like half a football a field away and you have to get that sound to them. What does your body automatically do for you? Take that belly breath, engages from the abs and opens in here, right? Yo! Wow! Hey! That kind of a feeling. That, for some reason, we do no problem because we've done it 1,000 million times in our life, right? On the playground, you're yelling at your friends going, hey, let's pretend to do this. And then you go and do this. And it's no problem, right? We hardly ever lost our voice as kids. But now that we're singing and we're trying to get sound out, there's more pressure on it. And so we end up thinking, all right, here I go. I'm a fighter. I'm in my usual fighting stance. I'm ready to go. I'm going to F this note up, right? And so then we come at it from this place of, I'm going to squeeze it out, right? I'm sure I've told the story, but a couple years ago, I actually had 2 students at the same time who have been pole vaulters in their past. And they would go for high notes like they would go for vaulting over a pole, which means every single muscle in their body was like ready to go, squeezing, because you can't touch that bar. You got to give it everything you got, right? With singing, it's really helpful to notice those patterns in your body and to start to derail them. And by derail them, I don't mean cancel them, because it's really hard to do. But by derail them, I mean literally send them on a different track, right? So this track is for ease. This track is for steering wheel actions only. So a lot of times when we think about a steering wheel, it's not the thing we push on to make the car go. It's not the thing we push on to have a more powerful acceleration, right? It's what we hold like this, and we go little teeny movements. We mostly let the car go where it wants to go, and then if you see a little teeny veering off, then you adjust in a small way, right? That's how we were taught to drive, right? Little bit. And with singing, we've gotten so over involved with the steering wheel, when really the key to getting those big, high, pretty, beautiful notes is letting the steering wheel do its own thing, right? Let the car drive itself. You're responsible for the power, and that is not from the steering wheel. You can't push into the steering wheel to make the car go faster, right? So we find this gas pedal. And this is such an easier thing to put your focus on, because these muscles, your abs, are doing work all day long. If you are not in bed lying down for the entire day, like, your abs are working. And even when you're in bed, when you're tossing and turning, your abs are working. So the fact that you are breathing and speaking and moving and sitting and standing and dancing and doing all the things you do every day means that your abs are working, right? So these abs can handle you derailing that power into them. Yes? So this is a great thing, because this is how we start to do less, is not cancel the need to make this note happen, but we put it into these muscles that can handle it. This is your gas pedal. Okay? So when you are trying to hit that big and beautiful, powerful Adele kind of note, instead of gathering up every single muscle in your body, you are going to say, okay, not every single muscle needs to help me here. In fact, you guys, everything above my bottom rib here, you guys can do your normal, usual work. I don't have to do any more work in this space. I know that you've got this. I've been making sounds my entire life, for decades at this point, right? But what I'm focusing on is my relationship with my abdominals. And my relationship with my abdominals directly impacts how my breath goes, and the coordination between my brain and my voice. So everything that we do is a combination of air and muscle, right? So most of us who are fighters, we over muscle like crazy. So many people over muscle, and that's the problem. They think, I need more breath support. I'm like, well, kinda, but the thing that we're doing to try and have more breath support is adding to the problem, right? So first of all, we have to lighten up on our muscle, and then we have to put more air in by muscling in the gas pedal region, in the obliques and the lower abs. So when you're trying to prepare for this note, think of it like you're talking to a friend across a playground, like you have been doing for your whole life, right? And you don't even have to know how to do that. Just imagine, okay, I gotta imagine a person over there, like 50 yards away. I gotta get my voice to that person. Your body will respond. It knows so many things about how to make sound. It is doing this constantly, right? When you're talking to someone 6 inches in front of you, you know that you don't need a lot of preparation for that. But when you're talking to somebody across a park, you know that you need a little different preparation for that. You don't even have to intellectualize it. Your body just does it for you, right? It just automatically takes that belly breath, releases those abs, opens up in here and goes, hey, right? It derails that control mechanism down to these big muscles that can handle it. Now, when we're singing, we have put so many layers of shoulds and pretties and self-preservation onto this that we've forgotten how to do less. We forgot. It seems counterintuitive, but we have built up this wall of protective mechanisms that, because we feel so worried about not being able to hit a note, we preserve ourselves by doing way too much. We forgot that doing less is usually the answer to most of our problems. And I am talking 100% to me currently. And if it works for you too, I'm so glad you're here. I'm talking to me because I am an overdoer. I am a constant overdoer, not just when I'm singing, all the time. I do too much. I overcorrect, I overdo, I overpush, I over gas pedal. Now, when you're singing, if you can train your nervous system to stand down a little bit in order to say, it's okay, I don't have to do all this extra work up in here to make this note happen. That is the key. But this takes some time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen with immediately just telling your body, like, hey, chill out in here, man. Like, it takes some patience with yourself. It takes some noticing a lot of things about how your body shows up when faced with a challenge. And this, of course, is a microcosm for life, because when you are faced with a challenge, if you're a fighter, you're going to punch it, right? You're going to get aggressive with it. I can fix this problem. If you're a flighter, you're going to be like, I don't think I want to deal with this. And then I close, right? I turtle, run away, whatever that means. If you can't physically run away, your air runs away, or your muscles stop firing as hard as they need to. So a big note, instead of squeezing too hard, it becomes like, ah, right? Because you're not giving it the foundation of air muscle that you need. So whatever realm you're coming from, it's the same issue. We're not feeling trustful in our own voice that just letting sound out is going to be okay enough. And this is where the training comes in. Over time, we have to remind ourselves, okay, I'm feeling a little worried about how this note is going to come out. How has that shown up for me in the past, right? I hear that gremlin voice. It's not going to be enough. You better kick it, right? And then I see myself start to go into this tension mode, right? I see my hands start shaking. I see my abs tighten up already, and it's not letting me take a big belly breath. They're just squeezed the whole time. And if they're squeezed the whole time, then they cannot help you, because you have to release them in order to engage them. So all of these patterns I start to see in myself. And so we go one by one, right? Number one, we tell the gremlin F off, right? Thank you for keeping me safe. I appreciate you. I got this. That takes practice. My goodness, does that take practice? Number two, noticing that, oh, this is a nervous system response. This is just my biology trying to keep me safe. Understandable. Not my fault. Thank you, body. I appreciate you. Right? Understandable. Respond to it. Number three, remind your body that you are safe. Right? You can tell it that you're safe, but is it going to believe you? Most of the time, not really. It's like, oh no, there's this challenge that I'm supposed to nail, right? I have to ace this test. I have to sing this note perfectly like Adele sang it, right? Otherwise, I'm a failure. I have to rise to this challenge. And if you're a perfectionist, this is like 10 times worse, right? You have this need to make this note happen or else, right? Which is why all of your muscles start to get recruited. When this nervous system response starts to happen, all of your muscles start to get recruited to be able to sing this high note. And you're like, all right, here I go. Squeeze, go. And then the vicious cycle comes in. It's like, ooh, I didn't like that note. I can't hit that note. I'm not a good enough singer. The gremlin comes back in. Oh, look, I told you so. Blah, blah, blah. And then you force it even more. And you're like, oh, I'm not doing something enough, right? Because that's your default. Okay, try it again. Do even more. And then it sounds even worse than before. The pitch is all off now. And now you're like, well, I just should not sing that note ever again, right? And this is where most people get stuck. However, if you first of all, before you even sing the note, do a little analysis of yourself, see what your gremlin's doing, see what your mind is doing, see what your body is doing, see what your nervous system is doing, then intercept all that by going into the body first and reminding it that it is safe. Then we can come at it from a place of trusting yourself. Our guard wall comes down. We say, okay, I'm going to allow this because in the past I've tried it the other way. I know, maybe if this is your first time, I know because Sarah told me I have to release and allow sound to come out and don't do so much and see how that goes, right? I'm going to re-engage my lower half of my torso. I'm going to get the heck away with my top half of my torso. I'm going to chill out up here. And I'm going to go back to the playground. I'm going to go back to basics, right? And then it comes in the form of evidence, right? So before you get to that point, before you even try, there's a number of ways you can have your body feel safe. If you do tapping, that's great. Belly breath is helpful, but is not always going to get the job done. You can do the gravity blanket, as Ruby Rose calls it, which is basically a self hug, but there's a release that happens when you just grab in the right places. So one hand on your armpit, one hand on your shoulder. This is actually like points on your body that are giving you the feedback of safety, right? So now you're talking to your body in your body's language, not in your brain's language, which is language. You know what I mean? And from here, you can give yourself a nice squeeze, which is also muscle engagement, which is also another way to send the adrenaline and cortisol elsewhere, so it's not totally going to derail you. And you can start to feel yourself settle a little bit here, because now you're talking your body's language. Like, you wouldn't be doing this if you were in danger, right? You can also open your mouth really tall. That's another biological glimmer that you are safe, which is why if you're having some anxiety, go floss your teeth and brush your teeth, because you have to open your mouth, because biologically you're not going to be standing there with your mouth open if you are being chased by a predator, right? So it's the things that remind your body, like, you are in an objectively safe space right now. And now I already feel better than I did 2 minutes ago. So I can now go back to basics, go back to my playground self and think, oh, I can totally go for this note. I know how to talk to my friend across the playground, right? So if the note is up here, I find the note again. I turn that into this. Maybe I tell myself a story. I'm like, oh, okay, I am a cartoon character, right? I am Sandy the squirrel, and Sandy's a great singer, right? So let's pretend I'm Sandy and we're going to sing this note. Or you can just try speaking it and then slowly over time make it a little more musical and a little less speaky, a little more singy. So for example, it'd be like, hey, right? That's totally easy. You got that, no problem. You feel the abs kick in, feel your belly breath release, feel the abs support you through that. The top half of your body is super chill. Hey, right? And then we just make it a little longer, a little more musical. Hey, a little longer, a little more musical. Hey, a little longer, a little more musical. Hey, yeah. I don't know what I was about to sing. I was about to sing, how can I something. I don't know. There's a song in my head. I can't remember what it is. But that's the idea. So over time, even over the course of that one minute, you're giving your body evidence that you can make this note happen without the over-efforting, without so much work happening in the whole of your body, right? It's just this lower torso that is the foundation. You can spread out this weight, right? You don't have to feel it all in here. Give the weight to these bigger muscles. Press your feet into the ground if you need a little reminder what that feels like. Because when you press your feet into the ground, or if you do a little squat, your abs, your lower abs and your obliques automatically fire, right? So that, among many other things, is a good way to remind your body, oh, I have this gas pedal. I am connected to it now. You're connecting the top half of your body, which is your vocal mechanism that knows what to do perfectly and beautifully already, and you're connecting it to your power source. And then you are saying, okay, power source, I trust you. Vocal mechanism, I trust you. Go do your thing. I'm not going to try and mix it up anymore. I'm not going to try and get in the way. I'm going to just, right? No extra squeezing, just a little bit of compression that my body knows how to do already. I didn't tell it to do anything different. I was just like, all right, I'm going to allow this sound out of myself. A lot of this also is having a relationship with your gremlin, because when your gremlin gets too involved, it is always going to judge whatever sound comes out of your mouth. And that is the counter action to allowing, right? So you really have to have a solid relationship with your gremlin as a separate being, right? As a being that you do not have to listen to at all times, as a being that is always going to be uber judgmental because its job is to keep you safe. And that's what its job is. And so it's not your fault. Again, it's your biology. And you get to choose in every moment to do less, to make that singing feel easier by trusting yourself and by allowing even more. Hopefully this was helpful. I gotta go, but thank you for being here. If you like what I do, go check out all the stuffs up there. My Vocal Magic has a very early waitlist that I just posted because I'm like, I can't even wait, but I don't have a date yet for it. So if you're interested, go put yourself on the wait list. You also get my vocal warm-ups. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Thank you. Boop.